fostering creativity, new curriculum, entrepreneurial skills for learners and educators. Basically, we will be talking on how to bridge the research and practitioners in education, incorporating the Sri Lankan scenario. That is what my objective. As we all are aware that this is a persistent challenge in education. Ever since the education started as a discipline, the practitioners and researchers had this gap. So education research often feels disconnected from the everyday realities, what is happening in practice. Of course, this address try to explore certain areas where we can do it. Researchers showed that there are two distinctive ways, particularly education and informal education and practices. Research can produce technical and instrumental knowledge as well as how to bridge the gap by altering the things. Particularly we know the Sri Lanka, in case of the research and the practicing area, Sri Lanka is a little bit different than other countries because we have been following free education policy. You might have heard that. The free education policy in Sri Lanka, it was a starting point from our independence from 1945, and under the free education policy, we are providing education up to the university education as free of charge, the government funding giving it for all the schools. We have about 11,000 state-owned schools, and there are private schools as well as 17 universities which are hosted by the public funds. So particularly in addition to providing the lectures and materials, of course all tuition fee is free, and textbooks, uniforms in some cases, and even school lunches for free education provided by the government. So that it is well cited. Because of this free education policy, there were many benefits in Sri Lanka. I'm not going to elaborate all, but you can see increased access to equality and high literacy rate and skilled workforce are always pointed out by researchers in education. And even economics researchers have cited Sri Lanka as a different developing country because of these areas. Particularly, there are several aspects we need to discuss. One is the reduced poverty, the poverty reduction due to free education and informed citizenry, social cohesion, and of course the most important thing, we could achieve UN Millennium Development Goal of universal primary education by the 2015 due to the free education policy. So the overall benefits of Sri Lanka's free education policy are unattainable. Everyone cites this one as very important thing. But there are some issues with respect to the free education policy of Sri Lanka, which are called challenges. What are the challenges of free education policy in Sri Lanka? Resource disparities. Of course, the 11,000 schools are not in the same conditions. There are about 3,800 schools which get the maximum benefit. All STEM education is concentrated into a limited number of schools like 3,800. But majority of schools are having issues with respect to the teaching science, English or mathematics. And the quality concerns are also same, because when you go to rural area, the quality is a little bit different due to this education disparities. Apart from that, there is a hidden cost issue coming from the free education policy. Actually, the university access is free in Sri Lanka, but it is limited only because there are 17 universities so which are not sufficient to fulfill all the advanced level or high school completed graduates. And then going into curriculum relevance, also question nowadays, and teacher training and motivation is one of the areas where we need to concentrate. So these are the challenges we can understand. With that, of course, we need to understand these two different worlds. One is the researchers and educators have different priorities and pressures. Researchers focus on generalizable findings, while the educators grapple with specific student needs and time constraints. The research is often written in dense academic languages, but which may be different in the practitioners. So, importance of learning foreign languages. This is one of the main areas where I can show you in case of Sri Lanka. There are many compelling reasons to learn a foreign language by any community individual. And these benefits can be broken down into three major areas. Why people should learn the foreign language is very important issue. There are practical advantages, cognitive benefits, and cultural understanding also with the learning foreign languages. So particularly the practical advantages of learning foreign languages always cited with three main areas: career opportunities, travel and communication, and of course educational opportunities. On the other hand, cognitive benefits also cited as three main areas: enhanced brain power, improved the multitasking, and sharper native language skills. Cultural understanding is also promoted by the learning foreign languages. Appreciation for different cultures, greater communication and connection, access to new information and media. With all these things, how do we bridge the gap for research for practitioners and teacher involvement, knowledge brokers, school-based research, and professional learning communities? For all these, what we need, the learning foreign language. But in case of Sri Lankan education system, there is a big issue with respect to this. For example, if I take some statistics, in Sri Lanka, we have 12 years of, actually it is 13 years of education in schools. The first 5 years we consider primary education, then second 6 years we consider as the secondary education, and we have 2 years considered as the tertiary education, or what we call advanced level high school completion. The high school completed population, you can see here, I have given the statistics. In 2017, at the end of the high school, 253,000 sat for the final examination. It has grown by 10,000 when it comes to 2022. And of course, the eligible number growing more and more to enter the universities. So the limitation of government universities is one problem. The second problem, as I pointed out, is the language education in Sri Lanka. If you see this slide, this is the most important core of my presentation. Foreign language learning as a subject at the end of the high school in Sri Lanka. You can see what are the foreign languages, entire number of languages given here. The Sinhala study about 55,000, Tamil study as a subject in advanced level 17,000, but rest of the all foreign languages you can see, out of 263,000 students sitting for advanced level, only less than 2,000 for each and every foreign language learners in Sri Lanka at the high school level. So that you can see how many people, the maximum number is the students study Arabic language. How many sitting for Arabic language in Sri Lanka? High school level, only 1,863, which is only 0.7% of the total advanced level examination sitting students. And even English language, you can see, only 1,600 learn English as a subject in advanced level, which out of 263,000. So which is only 0.6% student following English as a subject in advanced level. So that you can see how there is a dearth of language learning experience in the country like Sri Lanka. But other countries, learning foreign languages is one of the main things to capture, particularly consider the gap between researchers and practitioners. The practitioners always point out very difficult to find the people who are employable in foreign employment, or particularly tour guides, the tourism sector. The foreign language speakers are not sufficient in Sri Lanka. The issue, you can say, is arising from the advanced level examination in Sri Lanka. Less than 1% each language learning in case of higher education in Sri Lanka. So it's a negligible amount, the number learning languages for high school, at the end of high school in case of Sri Lanka. So there is another important aspect, to bridge the gap between the researchers and practitioners. What we need the ICT, smartphone and mobile computer literacy. In case of Sri Lanka, you can see only 14.2% of advanced level students taking ICT as a subject. So we can see the ICT education is very weak when you compare with the other countries. So the first and most importantly, we need to consider the working together, researchers and educators, to ensure how this language and technical skills incorporating into practitioners. So that is, of course, in Sri Lankan context, the higher education is misunderstood. Higher education means there are three main areas. One is universities, institutes for academic degrees. Number two is professional bodies, institutes created for training professional skills. Number three is technical skills, the technical colleges. So higher education is not really understood in Sri Lanka. Majority wants to enter university. They believe that getting the university degree is sufficient. But majority of school teachers, if you take that, they are coming from the university degrees, not by the trainee teachers. So as a result, the gap between researchers and practitioners are rising. Practitioners always not qualified to teach. They are not education graduates. Majority of them have followed a degree program which is not relevant to their day-to-day teaching practices, or teaching psychology or teaching aids they cannot use. So that is the main area where we need. And of course, you can see even in case of Sri Lanka, I'm not going to elaborate all, but what you can see in high school, we have areas like bioscience, physical science, commerce, arts, engineering technology, biosystems technology, and none. There are 7 areas. But in other countries, most of the advanced countries, the advanced level, or what we call high school, almost 1 type of curricula they follow. One curricula for advanced level or high school. But here the high school level we divide into 7. So as a result, the large part of STEM education losing by the people who are following high school. So that is one of the important areas. So challenges of higher education system in case of particularly Sri Lanka: limited access, outreach curriculum, particularly outdated curriculum, focus on degrees over skills, language barriers, funding issues. So these are the couple of issues we can get. But how can we create a creative education? This is very important. 10 guiding principles to foster the creativity in education. How do we guide that? Number 1, cultural inclusiveness. Nowadays, people are trying to learn other languages. If we can promote, learn other languages, then they know about others' culture, so that they can understand the cultural inclusivity. Intrinsic motivation, how to promote people. This is very, very important, that we all talk about the learning loss due to the COVID and other global economic crises, and due to various reasons. In case of Sri Lanka, we have been having bunch of crises, starting from the Easter attack, then the COVID, then economic crisis, then it went into a small different kind of crises, such as dollar crisis, oil crisis, even unemployment crisis. There are a lot of crises. So how we can overcome, and during a crisis period, how we nudge the people, that is the most important. So you know, particularly in economics, we are talking about today the nudging the people, what we call behavioral pattern, behavioral economics, where you know Richard Thaler got the Nobel Prize on the nudging the people, how we can nudge the people. In that sense, how can we motivate the people? Shared responsibility, how can we allow people to follow the shared responsibility? Joy of learning, creative partnerships, social and emotional learning, openness to questions, structured uncertainty, diverse learning. So there are many ways where we can create the education as very important area. So particularly going back to my topic, if I go, that we need to have creativity is a valuable skill that can be nurtured and developed through education. How to foster the creativity in classroom? Shifting mindset. How do we shift the mindset? Particularly, there is a technical error here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, how we shift the mindset? Focus on joy of learning. How do we think that move beyond just preparing students for tests and focus on creating a love of learning for its own sake? So all the time we need to create fun while learning with the students, and celebrate the process, not just the product. So that there are various things we can focus on. Encouraging creativity thinking, particularly open-ended questions and projects are more better than going for multiple choice questions, restricted stereotype learning. Embrace play and exploration is essential to guide the creative learning and encourage the creative thinking. And supportive learning environment. We need to create supportive learning environment, particularly psychological safety and collaboration. So these are areas where we need to focus on to bridge the gap between education, research, as well as education practitioners. So my view that going into the main topic here again, the two areas, in fact, with a given limited time for me, I couldn't touch, but we know particularly we have to see the skill development part and how we do research on that skill development part. The practitioners basically worry about 5 skills. One is language skill. Number 2, mobile and ICT technology based skills. Number 3, financial skills. How do we inculcate the financial literacy into the education system? Number 4, of course, networking and socialization of the people. Finally, value creation and entrepreneurship. So these are important aspects of practitioners always thinking, because your product, the final product of the education should be marketable. If it is not, he or she can't earn money. If he or she can't use money, then he will be facing troubles in the labor market. So therefore, in economic sense, that we have to balance and we have to provide. And mostly, education researchers should not concentrate only the higher education, particularly education type. Especially, we need the technical education, and of course, we know the professional education. So there are 3 types, of course, mostly academic type education, professional education, and technical education. To what extent we can improve the skills of academic education people to match with the other 2. The professionalism bring them more finance, and when they are more financially literate, they believe the academic education is not worth, because we know that doing research alone cannot sustain, because we need sustainability. Sustainability comes with not only the learning and educating more people, but also the financial literacy and people who think that they can continue their research more and more. So therefore, this topic is very broad, that you can see the most important aspect of this topic is that how to bridge the researchers with practitioners. In that case, the practitioners pointing out 5 main areas, as I explained, and how the researchers focus on this and make the education landscape in the world. So the education planning and education structural changes are essential to implement in a country like Sri Lanka to overcome all the crises. So I don't want to take much time. Thank you very much for inviting me.